All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 275 in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us, whether you're live streaming, podcasting, YouTubing, whatever the hell you guys are into these days, however you're listening and taking in your content. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time, as we have an awesome show for you guys today, a very poignant show for you guys today, something that we are definitely very much looking forward to. I cannot believe the fact that we are 275 episodes into this thing, something we're very proud of, something we take very seriously, and we hope that you guys have enjoyed the ride with us, no matter how long you guys have been with us, whether this is your first show or you guys have been with us for all 275 episodes. We thank you equally, and we appreciate you equally, because you guys are what makes this thing awesome. And speaking of making this thing awesome, man, we're trying to continue to grow this thing. We're trying to make this thing as official as we possibly can. You know that this has been a show that came off of a Facebook group almost 15 years ago. And we're growing this thing, and it's been growing on all those other areas, but we're trying to grow it on YouTube. So we tell you at the top, and we tell you at the bottom of every single show. If you'd be so kind, go to youtube.com/thespokenpodcast. Hit subscribe, hit share, like, all those fun things. We really very much appreciate all those buttons that get pushed. They help us big time. But also get into the chat, get into the live chat, especially when we're doing this show as it's going, because we want to hear from you. We want you to be a part of the show. We want you guys to have your voices heard as the show is going on. Obviously, throughout the week, it's great to hear you guys' voices and what you guys want to talk about, but it's also a very special thing when we get to sit here and react to it in live stream, no matter how you're watching. But YouTube is where we're trying to grow it, so you might as well go over there real quick and just jump on YouTube right now and get that thing going. So hit the subscribe button, guys. We're climbing our subscriptions. We need to get a little bit better, though. We definitely want to get to a higher level so we can start doing more things with our channel, more accessibility. There's just things we want to start doing more that makes it even more fun, even for the viewing audience as well. So it helps everybody out in the long run, and we would greatly appreciate it. So if you're going to be with us, you might as well help us grow this bad boy. So we say that, like I said, at the top of the show. I'll tell you guys at the bottom of the show, just as a reminder, in case you forget while we're sitting here talking sports. But first and foremost, Trevor, how the hell you doing, man? You had yourself a good week? I mean, it's been hot still. I'm sure that's the part that hasn't changed, but has there been some positive things that have happened for you this week, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been a busy week at work. It's been warm, but this weekend is supposed to be hotter than the week has actually been. It's supposed to be like 95, 96 degrees today, so it is what it is. We're in the heart of the summer. But yeah, man, looking forward to hanging out with some people this weekend, doing some things and some activities. But yeah, man, it's just good to be here.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here with all you guys. Like I said, we really appreciate all you guys that have been a part of this. And there's a lot of people we can take that we give credit to for the growth that we've had here, especially over these last few years, because we know that with Chief success, with things that go on in Kansas City, there's a lot of people that help you along the way, and there's so many people that we're grateful for, and you guys are definitely the largest majority of that. Trev, without further ado, man, I think it's time that we go ahead and get to the opening act of what we do here at the Spoken Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream! Yeah! We're back on motion! From out to the new beat!
Like to keep this show really lighthearted, especially at the top, because we want to get the energy flowing. We want to make sure that you guys understand what our intention is from the very beginning. That has been something we're very consistent on here at the Spoken Podcast, and it's going to stay that way. But ever so often, we have to address things that are unfortunate. And honestly, it's out of our control. It's something that other grown people decide to do and put in our hands, put in our laps, that we have to react to. Trevor and I talk about this all the time, that, you know, a lot of people blame the media. A lot of people blame the media for covering stories. Well, the stories are created by those that are story creators, and the media has a job to do, and that is to report the news. That is to, you know, give you the story. Now, there are going to be times where it's embellished and a narrative is created through networks and things of that nature, but that's not what we're here to do today. What we're here to do is to react to something that impacts us directly here at Starcade Media, because Trevor and I work directly under the Starcade Media Network. I have another show that I do with the Starcade Media founders and Clint Switzer and Noah Groniger called Arrowhead Allies every Tuesday night. We do that here on this very channel. And you guys know that we are very connected and very loyal and very dedicated to this Starcade Media because they've been the same way to us. It's been a very good friendship, very good relationship that we've had for 3 years now. And we're very happy to say that we've been a part of it. One thing that I think everybody knows about Starcade that's been around for any length of time, you guys know these dudes hustle. You guys know that every single event that's out there for the celebrities, for the sports celebrities, these guys are a part of it. Noah and Clint hustle and get out there and bust their ass more than many do. Many of the even bigger networks. These guys are out there and they're making relationships and they're making strides, and it's all credit to them for making this happen. This is their profession, this is their passion, and we benefit off of that. We give them content, which is something they benefit off of, but they bring eyes to us as well. And so this has been a very good relationship. We're very happy with the way things have been going, and we hope that things will continue to gradually get better and better as time goes on. And, you know, all I've ever seen from them when they do these interviews with players, I was watching yesterday, they had that Charles Barkley on. They were at the American Century Championship out there in Lake Tahoe. A great event. I mean, celebrities of all types are out there. Like I said, they were interviewing Charles Barkley. They got to see the great Joe 𝚂𝙶𝙾 again. You got to talk to Marcus Allen. They got to talk to John Elway. They talked to all these big names. They have videos of Jimmy Fallon and just, I mean, the names are out there, guys. And it was a great time from everything we had seen. And as I was prepping for the show yesterday, I was trying to, you know, figure out, you know, maybe we could talk a little bit about what they had out there and maybe kind of add to that to the show today, because I wanted to give them some recognition anyway for being out there and making some serious noise. Little did I realize that maybe the biggest story right now in sports would have involved Starcade Media yesterday. And in case you'd missed it, maybe one of the greatest, if not the greatest football player of all time, I think it's very debatable, maybe probably the best receiver of all time.
Yeah.
One Jerry Rice had himself one doozy yesterday. And it involved directly our two guys from Starcade Media, Noah and Clint. Let me preface this by saying that only Trevor knew that I was going to bring this up. Trevor and I have free creativity. That's the one thing that Starcade told us from the very beginning. Give you guys a little inside action here. When Trevor and I decided to join Starcade, they told us that you guys have creative freedom. You guys can say what you want. It is what you guys do with your platform that you guys ultimately decide to do. So they have no idea that I was going to bring this up today. And I think that it's something that this is something I have to do. Something we have to talk about. It is imperative to me that this gets addressed, because if you've already seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you've not, Jerry Rice was at this tournament, and we have our two guys, Clint and Noah, that are asking questions, innocent questions that are very relevant to the people they're asking them to. And Jerry Rice goes without saying, didn't really like the question that Clint Switzer asked him in particular. Trevor, let's go ahead. These are two clips. The first one you will see is per TMZ. Now, let me set this up for you guys real quick. The TMZ video that you're going to watch first is Jerry Rice reacting later on to the first altercation he had, or a situation he had with our two guys, Clint and Noah. He goes to Noah first, who didn't ask the question originally, had nothing to do with the question. It was Clint that asked the question. Then Clint comes up to try to talk about it, and then you hear what Jerry says to both of them multiple times before he ultimately walks away and tries to act like a tough guy again. And then you see at the very end, you will see Noah and Clint's point of view of what took place with the initial question that was asked to Jerry Rice, and then we're going to react to it. Trevor, let's go ahead and play that video.
Well, I asked, I don't ask, no,
Yes, Joe. If you want some, come get some.
It's the craziest thing that's ever happened in my life.
Well, what did you ask him?
I asked him if the Chiefs receiving core was good enough to win another Super Bowl. The Chiefs receiving core was good enough to win another Super Bowl.
Is it what he said?
He said, I don't know.
He didn't look at anybody else. He was going,
nope, that's
south.
Okay, do the Chiefs have a good enough receiving core this year to win again?
You a fucking asshole, you know that? Hey, Rants. Yeah, boys.
So there you have it. That's everything you need to see, everything you need to hear as far as what the situation was. And I highly recommend that you guys go to Starcade Media on their social platforms and see all the other videos. And I mean, there are a ton of them talking to other celebrities, in particular Marcus Allen. Trevor and I were talking about that, referencing that before the show today, about how great that conversation was. It goes on for about 2.5, 3 minutes. And Marcus answers all the questions, fair questions, good questions. They talked to Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They talked to Charles Barkley about the Mahomes and Brady comparisons. They talked to John Elway about what it was like for him to have to hand the trophy to the Chiefs.
That was a great question, by the way.
And John held it with class.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to make John Elway look like a cool guy?
Cool guys.
But see, this is what I want to address real quick. And I don't want to stay on this for far too long because we have much more important things to talk about today than petulant children.
We can cook.
But we can cook real quick if it's okay with you guys. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this as well now that you've seen the video if you hadn't already seen it. I want to commend, first and foremost, our guys, Noah Groniger and Clint Switzer, for being better men than me. I'll just say that right now. Because Trevor and I, we're 14 months apart, and we know how each other are. And I will say this, and I'll speak for Trevor real quick. I guarantee you, that would not have gone the same way had that been Trevor and I as opposed to Noah and Clint. They are much better reserved men than what we would have been in that situation. I don't give a damn who you are. See, what happens in moments like that is when it's the initial setup is you have your media and you have your celebrity. The media asks the celebrity a question. The celebrity can handle it how he feels. But as long as it stays within the confines of those two relationships, nothing needs to be crossed. The media needs to respect the celebrity for either choosing to answer the question or not choosing to answer the question. And it stays that way. But see, when a line is crossed, and then let's use the celebrity in this instance, goes to those media members after asking a fair question and says, I'll fuck you up multiple times.
You want some? Come get some.
You want some? You come get some as you're walking away with your security guards. As a drunk 62-year-old. Real tough shit, man. But when that line is crossed, that's when it becomes man-to-man. Now, I'm not sitting here and trying to act like Roadhouse here, where I'm Dalton and I'm asking for a fight. But I'm really glad, just for Starcade's network, that it was Noah and Clint, because those guys were able to handle that with maturity and able to rise above that in that situation. But I promise you guys, had he talked to Trevor and I like that, Jerry Rice would have been on his ass.
Could have been a leg sweep and an elbow real quick.
Real quick. And I promise you that. You can say whatever you want to say about that comment, how you want to comment about it. I'm telling you right now, I have life experiences that say otherwise, that would not have gone well. So I want to give all the respect in the world to Noah and Clint, and I cannot emphasize that enough for them being able to handle that childish behavior from a man who is revered as a legend, one of the greatest football players to ever live. Clint and Noah have worshipped that man. We worship that man. He is a god amongst football, and we're going to sit here and watch this jackass go and get in their face asking a question. Trevor, and I don't want to interrupt you because I know you have a take.
No, that's not a real take. It's just more of a
go ahead.
sly comment. I'm just saying, like, it was definitely great to see their poise But they would have been probably more legends in this situation if they would have given him a quick throat check or something. When he, you know what I mean? Just think about it. Just imagine. Just they would have been legends for if they throat checked Jerry Rice, bro.
Jerry's a very lucky man. And look, man, it'd been one thing if they would have disrespected him. We probably wouldn't even be touching this right now. We'd probably be like, look, Clinton fucked up, man. That's on them. We're not going to talk about it. They asked a fair question, and I see here's where I think, because everybody's probably asking the question, how did Jerry get to that point?
Yeah.
It's simple, guys.
He's probably drunk, though.
When the Chiefs are your daddy, and you're known as one of the greatest of all time, and Patrick Mahomes owns your team, and a guy from Kansas City asks a fair question about, do you think the Chiefs have a good enough wide receiver room to win it again? Jerry Rice takes it as, oh, you're trolling me because you know that your team just beat my team with one of the worst wide receiver cores in the history of the playoffs.
Well, it was just announced that Patrick Mahomes and Brittany are having a third child. Maybe he found out they adopted him or something.
Yeah, I think that's what
so he got the adoption papers.
Well, now that they have all the middle names out of the way, I think what they're going to name their third child is 49er.
Gotcha.
So I think that's probably why Jerry's getting
there?
a little upset about it. So
is there a Niner in there?
Yeah. So you calling from a walkie-talkie? This is the point I wanted to make in all of this, guys, is that this is where. And Noah and I talked a little bit. I'm not going to tell you guys the whole conversation that's between us, but he was 100% right when he said the saying stays true.
Yeah.
Don't meet your heroes; they will disappoint you. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to handle it like Jerry Rice, but I'm saying that at the end of the day they're humans, and Jerry Rice was very much an idiot for what he did yesterday to our two guys. And I would say that to his face right now.
He knows that now. I mean, he's all over the internet now, man. He's probably...
And he's the only one that looks bad in this.
Getting from all angles.
Because Clint and Noah were just simply doing their job. And like I said, it'd been one thing if they would have sat there and were actually trolling him. He claims that they had a smirk on their face when they were asking the question. Guys, even if there was a smirk on... That's you looking for a problem. If a reporter or a media member has a smirk on their face, that drives you to telling them that you're going to fuck them up, then it's a you problem.
We've got a comment from our guy, Carlos Fierro. I'm from Cali, guys, and word on the street he lost a lot of money in the Super Bowl, so I'm also thinking he maybe thought they were trolling. Bro, he's had a lot of time from heal. He's had plenty of time to heal from that. These guys are asking questions about football. This has nothing
Carlos,
to do with this is next season also. This is not... How you feel about that Super Bowl loss? It was nothing like that. So that's a cop out.
And Carlos, furthermore, what's that got to do with Noah and Clint? Yeah. That was Jerry's choice to put money on the Niners.
Jerry took a double L.
They didn't call or text his bookie and said, "Hey, put 170 large on the Niners."
I'm sure Jerry's pocketbook's fine still.
Yeah, I'm sure he's right.
He's out there, golfing with celebrities, so I'm guessing he's fine.
So anybody out there that wants to contact Jerry, send him this video and let him know that if he wants to try that again with people that will actually step up, he's got two guys right here. Our guys, Clint and Noah, are the nice guys. They're going to be the ones that just kind of overlook those things.
Starcade Media would immediately turn into Starcade Media. He would corner this man. Let's go, dude. You don't want to see us in the cage, son. Telling you leg sweeping it.
You got to warn me next time you say some shit like that, bro. Starcade Media. That's perfect, dude.
The Asperger's just popped in my head and came out.
That's perfect, dude. Oh, okay, yeah. Send him that part. Starcade Media is over here. If you want to actually have an MMA fight, because you want to act like you're gonna fuck some people up, we're your Huckleberry, Jerry. That's how it's gonna go, baby. So wanted to put that out there, guys, because like I said, I think that we owe Noah and Clint that to have their back on this. As a part of this what they've given us and a platform they've given us and an opportunity to be a part of the Starcade family. I feel it's only right of us to sit here and say that we have their back in this situation, that a guy of that magnitude really handled his shit the wrong way. And if you can't handle your alcohol in public, maybe don't drink or maybe don't go out in public for a while until you get some help. That's the only thing I can really say to Jerry Rice, and I wish him the absolute best. Trev, I want to say something real quick, man, and first of all, shout out to the chat. You guys are killing it already.
Loving it, man.
Loving it, you guys. Shout out to Dustin. Shout out to Timmy Hassan, our guy from Nigeria. We appreciate you. Love you to death, brother. Thank you for being here.
Dustin Norton and his son, Cooper.
Absolutely. Noah John Marshall's in there. Ruben DeCruz, obviously. Julia Gulli, of course, the legend.
Yep.
And we got, everybody's in this crew. 𝚂𝙾𝙺, Carlos Fierro, obviously. Jay Smith. I want to shout out everybody that's in the chat right now. I'm sorry if I missed you guys. James D. Kirk's joining in. Shout out to everybody that's a part of it. I'm sure Lonnie Pyramid will be joining in later on. Everybody, man, we thank you guys for joining our show today. React to every part of the show that you want to, or give us new thoughts or something we don't touch on at all. Yeah. Drop it, man.
Get some questions. Even I know it's the dead time of the year, so if you got some random questions or some fun ones for us, just throw some questions together for us, man.
Right.
Give us some content for that segment.
Right, absolutely. And the Ruben DeCruz says 2 words for Jerry.
Suck it.
Suck it. Yeah. I appreciate that. That's a DX. A DX reference is always welcomed here.
Boy, Alec Alvarez. My bad, bro.
Yo.
What's good, Lance and Trev? What's up, bro?
What up, Alec? Thank you for being here. He was on the show. He joined us when we were live. I was doing my solo act. Alec was with us in the chat. So shout out to Alec for being there with us, man. I appreciate you being here today again, brother. Something else, and this is a much more positive topic, I promise you guys, is what I realized this week is that now that Chiefs fans are truly understanding and seeing and living a new standard here in Kansas City. What do I mean by that? Trevor, you remember just a decade ago, we were younger men all the way back to when we were children.
Wee boys. We were
wee boys before Stark Age media. There was always this profound bliss whenever we would see or hear the Chiefs get mentioned in anything at the national level. A player, if we saw Tony Gonzalez in a commercial, or if we saw the Chiefs, their jacket was one of the jackets the people were wearing in one of the commercials or something, like, oh, it's so cool, man, we're a part of this, like it felt like we were always that team that just kind of got overlooked. And I fast forward to now, and I think about today, Trevor, and I wonder how many of you guys right now knew that Patrick Mahomes just won his second male athlete of the year award. Yeah. I wonder how many of you either didn't or knew that, or have even really reacted to it. You guys do realize that only LeBron James, Tiger Woods, and Lance Armstrong are the only other male athletes ever to win multiple male athlete of the year awards from the ESPYs, right?
Not even Tom Brady?
Yeah, believe it or not. But see, that's the standard now. Is that we expect these things. And that's okay.
Yeah, it just flies under the radar.
It just,
no big deal.
Andy Reid's up there accepting the award. It's like this cool, charming moment. And it's like, it's not even like big time news in Kansas City. Like, it got reported, obviously. But it doesn't shock anybody anymore. The success and all the fame and the glory and all these things. Like, when I see Travis Kelce on a commercial now, Trevor, I don't look twice. When I see Patrick Mahomes in his Head & Shoulders commercial with Troy Polamalu, sometimes I don't even look at the TV. But
life comes at you fast, man.
Yeah, if this had been 2014, 2010, 2007, 2000, 1995, I'd have lost my shit. But here we are, our quarterback in Kansas City, and I want to put his picture up on there so you know what I'm talking about, just in case. The Lord and Savior Patrick McChrist is the one that is leading the charge here, guys. Like, I know that Travis Kelce's probably more famous now because of the Taylor Swift connection, but would you look at it? This is the man that's leading the way here in Kansas City to a new era, a new dawn, and a new time. He is the guy that has changed everything. We talk about Andy Reid and how, if it wasn't for Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be here. That's 100% true. We talk about Clark Hunt. If it wasn't for Clark Hunt, Andy Reid wouldn't be here. That's 100% true. You can go all the way back in time and talk about who brought who to what, when, where. But this dude right here is the one that has changed the trajectory of the Kansas City Chiefs history. And to see him get an award like that, at this point, it's like common knowledge. It's like common sense. It's like one of those things that we just expect it now. And I love that. I love that the standard is finally where we always wanted it to be, at least some of us. Because, Trevor, you remember we'd be battling with Chiefs fans about, oh, dude, the Alex Smith era has got to end.
Yeah.
We got to quit with this retread method. We got to quit with this conservative nature.
We'll win enough games to be interesting, but then it's never going to get us anywhere. Yeah.
It was like this fear amongst the fans of
pattern.
Fear amongst the fans of, oh, well, I don't want to be bad. Let's just be good. Let's be like 9 to 10 wins, and let's just see what happens in the playoffs, knowing deep down you never had a shot. Like, those standards have changed now, and I love the fact that we're finally at that place, Trevor, we always wanted it to be, where our quarterback is the one that everyone pays attention to. He's all about football. He's obsessed with this game, and the game now revolves around him. I was actually listening to Fox Sports Radio on the way in this morning, and it was funny, dude, because they were talking about their top 5 quarterbacks because Tyreek Hill dropped his list.
Yeah.
And Tyreek put Patrick Mahomes at the top.
Yeah.
And they put Tua And I think you put
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I put Baker Mayfield. That's just Tiger's
I love
fucking
it.
around.
Yeah.
But
Baker, man, I love Baker.
But what I loved about it, Trevor, is the commentary of the guys that were talking on the show. They said, "Look, we've seen a lot of lists lately, and I will say this: if number 15 in red and gold isn't at the top of your list, I can't take you seriously. Like we've gotten beyond the point now where who's the best quarterback in the league? Like everybody just knows." You can sit here and try to troll and be like the dipshit Acho brothers, where just 2 years ago, Sam Acho, I think it's that, Sam Acho was trying to say Patrick Mahomes wasn't even a top 5 quarterback. This was just 2 years ago when that stuff was being said.
The Crachos.
Yes, thank you. I could say more, but we're not going to do that. But the point is, we're sitting here now talking about a universal and consensus agreement of what we have now in Kansas City, and I hope that you guys are enjoying this as much as I have. I know a lot of you guys follow me on Twitter. I know you guys follow our social media platforms. You notice that I haven't been as angsty this offseason because the Chiefs are finally in a dynasty form where I can live and accept what some of the decisions are being made. Now, we're going to talk more about this today. And trust me when I say, that part of me hasn't left. I'm just a little bit in hibernation mode because I think this team as a whole is pretty damn awesome, man. And I think they have a pretty damn good structure on both sides of the ball that they didn't have last year. Do I love the wide receiver room? No. You guys know that, though. But I like this wide receiver room a lot better than I did last year. A lot better. And I think that they can get the job. If they can get the job done last year the way they did, I think they can get the job done again this year because I expect this defense to be really good again. But I just wanted to throw that out there when it comes to the standard, man. I love that factor. I don't know if you had any additional thoughts on that, but it just the vibe of it is where it's like it's almost assumed now. It's like, Patrick Mahomes won another award. It's like not who gives a shit. But it's like, that's how it goes here.
Even if we weren't winning Super Bowls, like that's obviously that overshadows all these things. We continue to win Super Bowls, and we have a gigantic opportunity here to have a three-peat and do something that's never been done before. But yeah, as a fan, man, it is wild to sit here and realize that our team, our franchise, our hometown guys are the face of the league and have been for a while now, for a handful of years now. So, and it's not like we haven't had marketable guys, like you said. Like we've had guys like Jared Allen, and the guys that have been, great big personalities. Trent Green was a handsome guy, face of this team, and a good leader, solid player. Tony Gonzalez, obviously, he was always pretty publicized, not nearly to the degree he would be if he was here at this time and place with this Chiefs team. So it is wild, man, especially being a small market team in the heart of the country. Sometimes, man, like I've said before on the show, when this roller coaster kind of first started getting going, sometimes life does seem like a simulation. Like, you never really expect when it's happening to you, and like all these things are like, how we never really kind of we thought this would actually happen.
Right.
Like we thought we would see some maybe decent success as Chiefs fans, but we never thought we'd become the team with the players in the league. Travis Kelce just got ranked the best tight end in football. Chris Jones just got ranked the best defensive tackle in football. And we're on a chance, we have the best quarterback in football. We have a chance to have a three-peat opportunity here. It's a wild reality that we're living in, man. And I just hope everybody can just not try to take the cynicism and critical thoughts, out of your system as much as possible, and just truly just smell these flowers and enjoy these moments, man. Because these are fleeting moments. These are not going to last forever unless we find some kind of pattern in the universe to keep finding quarterbacks that continue to keep us, afloat and doing great things, which is tough to do. But yeah, just enjoy this ride, man, and it's been a blast. And yeah, Patrick Mahomes, shout out to him, man. Winning the second one, I highly doubt this is his last. He's probably going to be. He's just getting into his peak of his career, and he already has 2 under his belt. Male athlete of the year. He can win 4 or 5 of these things if he continues to do the things he's doing in the league. Especially if he gets a three-peat. If he wins a three-peat, who else is winning it next year?
Right.
Nobody. He can win 2 in a row back to back, so that'd be wild. But yeah, man, it's a pleasure and it's a dream come true, for sure.
If people are wondering, just to let you guys know, Trevor does in fact have arms.
Yeah,
it's just
I'm not an amputee.
It is the background. Just I'm over here looking at it right now. I'm like, man, Trevor, my brother has no arms. I'm freaking out. Do we take some ayahuasca before the show? Like, what's happening?
Just work with it. I'm working with it. It's fine.
Jerry Rice might actually whoop our ass now, dude. If you don't have any arms, I'm gonna be out here solo.
My kicks are deadly though, man.
I want to get a couple comments real quick, and then we're going to move to our next topic here. Our guy 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴 said, appreciate your content. We appreciate you. You guys are the reason why we make this content to begin with, man. It's been a fun ride. Episode 275, man. It's nuts to be able to say that, dude. It's great. Our guy Noah John Marshall said before Super Bowl 54, what's everyone's best Chiefs memory? For me, Oilers game, playoff W in like 93, big gap, wins in between. Also, what was at game Hollywood or on Hollywood? No, 2010.
Halloween.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about. Yeah. Beat Buffalo last play overtime. That was a great moment. I remember that. That was I would say before Super Bowl 54, and this has to count because it was before the game technically. Yeah. Is when the Chiefs were down 24-0 to the Texans.
Bro.
That's my favorite Chiefs game of all time. It's my favorite Chiefs game of all time.
You remember how upset I was during the down, bro? Like,
we were saying some stuff.
I was ready to break some shit.
Yeah, we were saying some shit, man. We were doing some shit, man. I
didn't want my kids to look at me.
2 seconds from lighting up the fattest joint of my life because I was so like, okay, I just got to desensitize myself now. I'm so dedicated to this shit. And then they score 7 straight touchdowns. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, I've never seen a game like that in my life where a team's down 24-0.
Yeah.
And then by halftime they're up by 20.
You feeling the lowest of lows and then you feeling the highest of highs within an hour. It's like, what just happened, bro? Like, that was the wildest roller coaster feeling game ever, dude. And that was what sparked it.
Right.
And we never looked back.
Our guy, our lady, I'm sorry, Julia Gulia, NFL has a short of Patrick, Brittany, Sterling, and Bronze that absolutely melts my heart. I agree. I did see that. That was awesome. I tried my best not to let one of those tears fall down my cheek. Failed miserably. It was great as well. Michael Maldonado, love watching you guys. Always straight up and not biased. And question will the Chiefs sign someone during training camp with the $15 million cap space they did, or they start the season with what they got? So there's a little bit of a back and forth. I like this, Maldonado. Thank you, first of all, brother. You've been with the show for a few months now, at least. I know that. We appreciate you being a part of it, man, and we appreciate that you see what we try to do here, which is to keep things real, open, and honest. We love to be homers. We love to talk about the team in a positive manner, but every once in a while, man, we got to have those real conversations, and I appreciate you're one of those people that appreciate those conversations.
Julie Gulia threw a little nugget out there that Justin Reed was on that Texans team, too.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good point. And him and Travis were beefing big time in that game.
Yep.
So, yeah, good look on that one, Julia. To answer Michael's question real quick, because I know we have speaking to get to, but I don't want to take too many of them away. But
he also said, I think Sky Moore and Tony could be cut up also before.
I agree with that, Michael. I definitely think one of them for sure is gone, and I think right now if I had to make a bet, it's Kadarius Toney. I think just because of the fact that with the off-field stuff, along with the on-field stuff, I think the Chiefs are going to look at him as more of a burden than Sky Moore. Sky Moore is a second-round pick, and he's a guy that I think the Chiefs still have some faith in. I don't have any faith in Sky. I think he's a bust. I think you have to cut your losses at this point with the money the Chiefs have. I think it's honestly right at this point, now that we're kind of where we're at, unless there's an injury of some sort that they need to go and trade for somebody to fill in the gap. I think this money's going to be going towards extensions. I think you're going to start seeing guys get extensions, and we're going to have a talk about that in just a second, about some guys that I think this offseason and definitely before next offseason will be getting paid that's already on the Chiefs. So I think the majority of the money they have left and the majority they've been trying to create is to give themselves some cushion to extend some contracts from here on out. So that's kind of where I see the rest of their money going right now, guys.
And James T. Kirk says, my favorite memory was beating Tennessee for the AFC Championship game.
That was a great memory, dude. I mean,
especially beating that team.
Yeah.
The way that's one of the few teams that's kind of had Pat's number.
Yep, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
That was a big hump to get over, man.
And to see like the way he ran that touchdown in before the half, when that half was very tight.
Dude, that was one of Pat's biggest games. Dude.
Yeah, and then you see him when he's rolling to the right side, and you hear them saying screaming Sammy in the stands, and he chucks that ball 48 yards in the air. Right to Sammy, dude, and that clinched the game. It was 35-17 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was big moments for Pat's career, highlight-wise. Yeah.
So definitely, that's a great, that's a great one right there, man.
One.
So 2025 is a year that I'm really paying attention to. Obviously, we guys know that the three-peat's in the midst, it's in the air, and we got so much to look forward to. But because we're in the dead heap of the summer, I kind of wanted to look a little bit forward here, man, because of the fact that we know this team is set for the most part. We know that this team is what they are. They're the favorites right now to repeat, or three-peat, if you will, as the Super Bowl champions. So we'll have plenty to talk about when it comes to this current team moving into this season as training camp starts, which will be here very shortly, guys. So I thought I'd have a little fun today, because I know that Trevor and I have disagreed on some of these things, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, because the Chiefs are set to have quite a few free agents after this season, guys. In fact, right now, as I counted off SpotRack.com, they are set to have 41 free agents. That's a lot of free agents. Notable names such as Creed Humphrey, Nick Bolton, Trey Smith, Justin Reed, Charles Omenihu, and Hollywood Brown are all on their way to free agency after the 2024 season. And given the current situation with the Chiefs roster and how young it is, along with their growing number and cap space that every team should benefit off of, they'll be having. Oh yeah, you don't have to put that up yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They'll have plenty of money to work with moving forward. I imagine that a good number of free agents the Chiefs deem as necessary will be retained, but I hope Chiefs fans don't think that the L'Jarius Sneed situation was a one-time thing. Because I promise you, it'll happen more often than you think over the next decade. But today, I do want to focus on the guys that I do believe will have a more similar fate to Chris Jones, who obviously got paid and is still obviously with the team. And as Trevor just put up there, this is my list right here, guys, of the 8 names that I came away from. And the list is long of free agents the Chiefs have, and I can break them down for you guys. But these are the 8 names that I have right now currently that I feel confident the Chiefs will either resign this offseason or before the next year's deadline hits, or when you guys really hit free agency and they can go and sign with any other team. So at the top, I have Creed Humphrey. I know he had his struggles, guys, and I hated the way that the dude was rolling the ball to Patrick Mahomes. He cost the Chiefs a touchdown to Rashee Rice, which caused a fight between Patrick Mahomes and Rashee on the sidelines. That would have put the game on ice. Creed Humphrey had a really bad Super Bowl when it came to that. He had a really bad postseason when it came to that. But one thing I cannot ignore with Creed Humphrey is a couple of things. Well, 3 things, really. One, the Chiefs heavily invested in him in the draft. They knew that they needed to go and get a difference-making center, a guy that Patrick Mahomes can build and grow with. And that is exactly what Creed Humphrey has been. Since Creed Humphrey has been on this team, the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl every year. And I think that's the way. Oh, I'm sorry, his rookie season was the AFC Championship loss to the Bengals. But the fact is, this guy has had nothing but playoff success in his career, and he's been, without question, the best center on the AFC side of things. Outside of Jason Kelce, there's not a better center in this league. And now that Jason Kelce's gone, you can make the case that it's probably Creed Humphrey. Also, the fact that Creed Humphrey's just now turning 25 years old.
Yeah.
Which means that he'll be just turning 26 when this time comes up if they wait another year, which I'm not actually expecting.
Get a lot better, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we know that centers play deep into their 30s. Like, Jason Kelce, again, was 37 years old, guys. It was still at the top of his game. And Creed Humphrey is a much more physically gifted center than Jason Kelce is. Right. No offense to Jason. You guys know we love him here. But Jason Kelce was an undersized center.
Yeah.
Creed Humphrey is not.
Jason Kelce was an overachiever, man.
Yeah. Like, what he did was incredible. Creed Humphrey has the body and the build to have a 15-year career in this league. Yep. And I think that Patrick Mahomes, with the comfortability they have together, I'm not anticipating that Creed Humphrey is going to continue to have that snap problem. I think he's going to get that. Those are things that are fixable. What's not fixable is being able to overpower guys that are coming at you. Like, those sometimes guys just don't have it. Creed Humphrey has shown that he doesn't give up pressures, let alone sacks. Like, he's the best pass coverage center in the entire NFL. He's one of the best rushing run play centers in the league. And with him entering his prime, knowing that you're not going to have to spend $20 million a year on a center, you're probably looking at 12 to 15 at most to spend on Creed Humphrey. To me, it's a given you do this. Sure, you can maybe draft another guy. Maybe one of the guys that the Chiefs just drafted in this draft could become the next guy. But those are big, heavy shoes to fill, man. And when a guy like this has been a part of a dynasty like this, and he's just entering his prime years, it's hard for me to say that I want that guy to go away. Trey Smith, look, I look at him and Creed Humphrey as a tandem because they came in the same year, and they've played every single game of their careers together. They have never not played together. Every single game. They've started every single game of their career side by side. And they've helped this team win back-to-back Super Bowls. And if the Chiefs win another Super Bowl, it's going to be because those guys are healthy. Those guys have been pivotal pieces to this dynasty. And just like Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith's only going to be 26 years old if they wait another year to pay him.
Yeah.
And this is a 6th-round pick, I might add. A guy that had blood clot scares. They thought this guy wasn't ever going to be able to overcome that. Overcame it. The physical abilities were always there. They were never in question. He had a 2nd-round grade on him. Go ahead, Drew.
We do know guards have been getting paid. If he demands, top-tier guard money, which he has, at this point, been a top-tier guard in this league, Do you pay him?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Here's the biggest reason. Let's say they wait another year. Juwan Taylor's contract comes up after that year.
Yeah.
The guaranteed dollars, right? So does Joe Tooney's.
Yeah.
It's the perfect time if you want it, because Joe Tooney will be 35 years old.
Move on from
So
him.
you move off Joe Tooney, even though he's still great. He's older. If you want to, maybe you can keep Joe Tooney and refigure his contract.
Which I think they'll
probably do that, yeah, because he's still so great. If
He's
if he
moved
wants
money
to
around
stay,
more than once already. Yeah.
If Joe Tooney, but here's the thing: if the Chiefs do three-peat,
Yeah.
does Joe Tooney go? You know what? I want 5 rings.
I'm gonna take these cleats off and hang them up.
Like, I'm done. Like, I'm the greatest left guard of all time,
Played with
basically.
2 dynasties, dude.
Like, I'm up there with like Will Shields. Like, I'm up there with Will Shields, bro.
Crazy,
like, I'm
crazy
good.
to say, but yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm good. And so I don't know. There's a lot of speculation there. My point though is you're looking at the future when it comes to these 2025 free agents. And I look at the future of the Chiefs and I see Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith in front of Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to see rookie dudes there unless you know for sure that you can replace those guys adequately. And I just don't know if you can, because it isn't like you just find Trey Smiths and Creed Humphreys just sitting around. So I would like to see them pay the money. And here's the thing, Trevor, to your point. You're probably looking at 16 to 17 million tops for Trey Smith. So here you go. You're talking about $25 to $30 million for 2 top-tier offensive linemen who are 25, 26 years old?
Yeah.
Sign me up!
Well, especially with our woes at the offensive line and, at specifically the left tackles and tackle positions, period. But, yeah, I mean, you want to keep at least your internal strength still strong, and that's been the strength of the O-line.
And Kingsley, you wouldn't have to pay him for 4 years if and when he becomes a stud at left tackle. And then, like I said, Juwan Taylor's guaranteed money comes off the books after this next season. So you can either move off of Juwan Taylor and maybe you start Wanye Morris at right tackle, or whatever you want to do with another guy on a rookie deal. Like, there's things you can do with Juwan Taylor unless Juwan Taylor balls out, and then you want to maybe extend his contract and soften the cap hit. There's a lot of things you can do with these guys. My point is, we talk about the scenarios, Trevor, on Arrowhead Allies. They asked the question: if you could change one thing in the Mahomes era, what would you do? And it was the 2018 AFC Championship result, the 2021 AFC Championship result, the 2020 Super Bowl result, and there was like another one. I said it's without question the 2020 result.
Yeah.
Think about it. That's a guaranteed Super Bowl victory, and it's against Tom Brady. Why didn't the Chiefs win the Super Bowl that year? Their offensive line was ass.
Fell apart, yeah.
So why would you ever want to take the risk of that happening again? Especially as Patrick Mahomes gets into his 30s. Like, you sign Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, you're guaranteeing they're going to be protecting Patrick Mahomes until he's about 33 years old. So why would, as Patrick gets older, would I want to take the risk of removing the reliable assets that are in front of him? You should lean into it more. Yes, you want to keep it cheap everywhere, but you can't. At some places, you have to spend money. And I am somebody who likes spending money on the offensive side.
It's just boring. That's a boring.
I get it, but what is the difference between Trevor, between the 2020 Super Bowl result and the 2022 Super Bowl result? And they win against just as good of a pass rush in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But they had a better offensive line, and they won and Patrick Mahomes was injured in that game. And it still didn't matter because they had protection. They gave up 0 sacks. That's the difference. And I don't want to see Patrick at 32, 33, 34 years old running for his life. I want him to feel protected in the pocket. And that starts up front.
Our guy Noah John Marshall said the Chiefs have not re-signed a center since 2007.
Yeah, was that Casey Wigman?
I think so, man. That's a good point too.
That's fair, but that was a whole different regime.
Yeah, this is entirely different. Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes, Creed's his guy. Creed goes with them all over the place. They go to WWE events together. I mean, those guys are tight. And Creed, like you said, Creed's 25 years old, dude. Like, he's just entering into his prime years. Maybe not even yet. You know what I mean? He like 28 to 31 is like the prime years for a lot of centers. So, I mean, that's young still, man.
Right.
The guy is still not even, he's barely getting his grown man body.
And furthermore, Trevor, when you draft a guy that high, and Brett Veach has mentioned this.
Yeah. When
you draft guys that high, or you start guys that quickly, Trey Smith, being a 6th-round pick, but started immediately, those are guys you're planning on paying.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee you the Chiefs...
That's how I felt about Nick Bolton, too.
If L'Jarius Sneed was not a cornerback, they would have paid him. If let's say L'Jarius Sneed was a linebacker, they'd have paid him. Because of positional value. Because they knew that he started immediately, made instant impact, but because of the fact we've talked about this, because cornerback is a position that Brett Veach crushes it at in the draft, they didn't feel the need to pay L'Jarius Sneed.
That's a good point. I mean, and I noticed you left my guy Nick Bolton off that list.
I'm going to get to
Okay.
No, go ahead. If you have something to say, go ahead.
No, if you're going to get to him, I'll wait.
So real quick, I don't want to like go over beyond on all these guys. Those are the two biggest names right there. Harrison Butker, I think that's a given. Look, you can have your opinions on who the guy is. That's fine.
The best leg
He's
in
the
football.
best kicker I've ever seen in the postseason.
Yeah, he was nails as hell.
Best I've ever seen.
It's crazy.
Why at 28 years old? I don't give a damn what his political belief. I don't care.
Ice cold. Bro.
The man is he's a monster. He is heartless. He will rip your heart out in the postseason. And what is one thing we know, Trevor, here in Kansas City?
All his amendment rights and just kicks the shit out of that.
Trevor, what is the earliest traumas that we faced as kids, as Chiefs fans in our lives? When the man we won't mention missed field goals in the postseason.
Yeah, man.
Do we really want to relive that again?
And we're not the only franchise that's dealt with that. Kicking is a massive part of the game in postseason for a lot of franchises, a lot of fan bases.
You can't assume that you can replace Harrison Butker.
Yeah.
And again, he's not 36, 37 years old anyway. He is 28 years old.
Yeah, man.
Sign him to yesterday.
These guys were kicking into the early 40s.
Yes.
40s.
Butker has to be a part of the next 5 to 10 years for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
He is the best kicker in football, most clutch kicker in football, and this is coming from a guy, me, that was criticizing the shit out of him a year ago about his PAT misses. Remember, I was saying on the show.
That was a weird weakness.
I said, remember, what did I say on the show? And you and Eddie were sitting right across from me. I said, if he doesn't get better at this, the Chiefs need to move on.
Yeah.
So I'm cutthroat with kickers.
And a lot of guys don't, man. A lot of guys like kickers, just like golf swing, like when you get into your head and you
the yips.
Yeah, you get the yips, and sometimes guys don't recover for that. So kudos to him for being headstrong enough to do that. So I mean, he's the best. He's the best leg in football right now, man.
Then I finally get to a defensive player, and this is an interesting one because I know that Charles Omenihu's missed a lot of time for the Chiefs, but hear me out on this. Yeah. So Charles Omenihu will only be 27 after this next season, right? And also the fact that we know how awesome he has been in this defense when he's played. And his market value is not going to be high. So if you think about it, you could get Charles Omenihu essentially on the same exact deal again if you want to sign him long-term, or a 1-year prove-it deal for him to get back into things, and he can go get himself another deal somewhere else after the 2025.
This comes down to him, though.
I know, I get it.
He's had a lot of already, trying to demand money and stuff from the Chiefs, and he hasn't really done much here yet. Granted, when he's healthy, that guy's a menace.
Yeah.
And I love watching him play on this division line, especially Chris Jones, with Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm just saying that Charles Omenihu would be a guy that I would offer an extension to.
100%. I love him. I love Charlie, bro.
And he has to understand the numbers are going to have to be realistic.
Yeah.
We're not paying you 20, 23, 24 million a year.
Right.
You're going to get at most 10, 11, 12 because you've missed X amount of time.
Yeah, and chances of someone offering him that is just not. He's probably not.
Unless he plays for a bad team.
Yeah, if like the Giants offer him some money or something like that.
Yes,
they need some
which is fine.
Guys. Yeah,
if he wants to go and get that, that's great. Sure. He has a ring now, well, that's fine. But if he wants to be a part of something special, be a part of this dynasty and continue to win, like I said, he gets a prove-it deal in 2025. Let's say the Chiefs say, hey, we'll pay you, we give you a 1-year deal worth $14 million total.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And you get a prove-it deal. You're 27 years old. Let's say you have a healthy season. You help the Chiefs get back to another Super Bowl or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Then you're getting yourself a 3-4 year deal for $58-60 million somewhere else, with $45 million guaranteed. You're set. So you're 31 years old. So that's what I think that Charles Omenihu should do, and I think the Chiefs like him a lot. And I think they realize they haven't seen the best of him yet.
Yeah, I don't think the league has seen the best of him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's value there. I don't think you're going to have to pay him a ton of money. And if the market's there for him, then best of luck, bro. Go find it somewhere else. But I think right now he's one of those guys that I think the Chiefs can snag and keep him on a team-friendlier deal.
Yeah.
I know people laugh when they hear McCole Hardman, but hear me out, guys. McCole is never going to be an expensive piece.
Pennies, man.
And he's always going to be an effective player. And he's
Penny Hardman. Let's go, baby.
No, you gotta stop with the shit,
I'm
dude.
on it, dude. Let's go.
I tell you, we call you butter. You're on a roll. McCole Hardman is a guy that I always would like to bring back as long as he's young, and he'll only be 27 years old as well. And we know the Brett Veach threshold is 28.
Yeah,
I think that we can get another year out of McCole. Anticipating that McColl's going to be an effective piece this year for the Chiefs. He's been wildly healthy and durable his entire career outside of last season, or 2022, where he missed 8 games to that horrible abdominal injury that he still fought through.
Yeah, he's never statistically going to be Randall Cobb, but he's like that relationship that Randall Cobb has with Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
He's like one of his guys.
Yes.
They just know each other. They have a good connection. Obviously, big moments don't scare him away. He caught the game-winning, game-sealing touchdown in the Super Bowl, so This guy just knows how to. He's just one of those guys that just clicks with Pat, bro.
Right, and it's just a
get
comfortable
this guy.
signing. So that
He's
you
cheap
get
as
him on
hell,
another
yeah.
1-year deal. Worth $2 million, whatever it is, and then he's just a part of the team.
Yep.
See what he does.
Absolutely, man.
Turk Wharton is just a guy. He'll be 27 as well. Just a solid middle
Gotta stay
piece, a
healthy, too.
rotational guy.
Yeah.
He fought through an ACL injury and had a really good season last year.
Yeah.
Played really well for the Chiefs. I thought he played better than a lot of people expected, myself included.
Sure.
So if they want to bring him back on another 1-year deal, that's cool as well. These are guys, like I said, that you can get for value. You're not spending a ton of money. We know that the Chiefs love these types of guys.
Yeah, they're adhesive guys. Man.
Yes.
They're guys that keep. Yeah, they're glue guys.
Glue guys, and that's why Noah Gray's on my list too.
Yeah.
Noah Gray, I think the best season he's had a little over 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just a solid tight end 2, tight end 3 that you can just have out there that knows the offense. He'd be 26 years old. He'd only be 26 after this season.
Yeah,
wow. Bring him back for on a 2-year deal worth $8 million. He doesn't make any money.
I mean, we kept Blake Bell around here for several years. Keeping Noah Gray here makes a lot of sense.
All these guys I'm listing, guys, are under 30. Every single one of these guys I've listed so far are actually under 28. Yeah. So it just makes sense. And a lot of these guys have been on the team for several years. And then finally, Clyde. I know you guys all hate Clyde. Clyde is just now turning 25 years old. Can you believe that? He's only 25 years old.
He's going to be so cheap, too, man.
Yes.
It just makes too much sense.
And if he has another solid season with the team, helps them three-peat, look at every single one of these guys I'm talking about. Every single one of these guys can play a legitimate role in helping this team win another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now, there are names I left off, and this is where I want to get to Trevor, because I did leave off some notable names. One in particular was Nick Bolton.
Yeah.
The biggest reason why I believe Nick Bolton won't be a Chief it has nothing to do with whether the Chiefs love him or not, because we know they adore him. Steve Spagnuolo sings his praises every opportunity he gets, and sometimes doesn't when he isn't even asked of Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is one of the most cerebral
playmaker.
He's so smart. Dude is unbelievably instinctual. Great tackler. I mean, one of the best tacklers in football. And he'll only be 25 years old after this season. He's 24 years old right now.
Linebacker's getting paid, though,
so
man.
you think, oh, that's a given. The Chiefs should pay him.
Yeah.
Guys.
It's a lot of money, though.
There's a reason why the Chiefs gave Drew Tranquill that contract extension. It's because they know that Nick Bolton has one issue. He's been injured. And he missed 7 games last season. And not only did he miss time, the Chiefs didn't miss a beat. And it's because of the fact that it's the same thing I talk about when it comes to L'Jarius Sneed. This defense is built around Chris Jones.
Well, I think Leo Chenal's coming, too.
Right.
To be honest with you. Yeah.
Yes. And I think there's some underrated Cam Jones. I think there's some underrated linebackers on this team.
Yeah.
And this is no knock on. I want Nick Bolton to make as much money as he possibly can, and I want him to stay in Kansas City. I don't want to see him leave.
Homegrown guy, too, man. I love it.
Yes,
I'm a stand for that guy, bro. I love that guy.
This isn't me. This is the same thing I said about L'Jarius Sneed. I did not say I want him to leave. I said I just think the market is going to take him from the Chiefs, and I think that's what's going to happen with Nick Bolton. I think that Trevor, if he goes out there this season, has 144 tackles,
stays healthy,
healthy, helps his team win another Super Bowl, his market is going to be stupid at 25 years old.
I mean, he was like we've said before on the show numerous times, and everyone knows it. That Eagles Super Bowl, he was a play away from being the MVP of that Super Bowl.
Sure,
you know what I mean. So
he played
or at least
a vital
close.
He's played a vital role in this team's success, a vital role. But again, there's two sides to this coin here, man. Is that we've seen the Chiefs still succeed without him, just like the Chiefs when they lost L'Jarius Sneed still succeeded, won the AFC Championship without him. The young guys stepped up, rose up, did their thing. Yeah. Drew Tranquill stepped up, rose up, did his thing in Nick Bolton's stead. And again, the market is going to be where you have to pay attention, guys. I think Nick Bolton is going to be outpriced. The Chiefs are not going to pay him $16 to $20 million a year. They're never going to pay a guy like that at linebacker. That kind of money with Chris Jones is the centerpiece of the defense. When your defense isn't built around a guy like that, you're not spending that kind of money on him. And also Justin Reed. Justin Reed I view him the same way I viewed Tyrann Mathieu. He's a 3-and-out. Yeah. You get him on a 3-year deal. Best of luck to you after that.
Well, especially at that position, we're getting so deep there, bro. We have so much young talent coming up from behind him. You know, Brian Cook to name from the top of the list there. Brian
Hicks
Cook could become Hicks. I mean, Jaden Hicks. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of guys that even I mean, there's just too many names and too many young guys that can step up and be him and or maybe better. Granted, he played great last year. He was great in the playoffs. Great playmaker, has been awesome for us. But yeah, that's a guy I wouldn't have too much trouble letting go if I'm being honest. But Nick Bolton for me has a special place in my heart. He's an old school kind of.
I want to get your thoughts on Nick Bolton and if you agree, disagree on what I'm saying, which is totally cool. But my last thing on Justin Reed is the same thing I want to say about Nick Bolton. Justin Reed will just be turning 28 years old, still in the prime of his career.
Yeah.
And if he helps a team, think about the legacy that Justin Reed could have in Kansas City, and what his agent could sell these other teams.
Him and Nick Bolton both.
He goes,
yeah.
His agent with the other teams. All right, so Justin Reed signed with the Chiefs in 2021, played with them in 2022 to 2024, and they won 3 Super Bowls. My guy was their starting safety. How many? We're going to start at $60 million, and we're going to work our way up from that point. Like, that's the kind of money Justin Reed, I think, can legitimately get in this
3x that.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, I think Justin Reed could get a massive monster deal with some, like, up and coming team. Let's say the Bears make the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
And they need a guy to kind of take that defense over the edge in 2025.
Yeah, that defense is
Justin Reed,
really good, yeah.
Get him a 4-year, $65 million deal. Boom. You take care of your safety for the next 3 years. Because Justin Reed is going to be a good player for the next 2 to 3 years easily. So I look at him as a rental. I've always looked at Justin Reed as a rental, and he's been a great rental. He's been a damn good rental, and he's going to continue that somewhere else. And I think that money is going to be what after winning rings, making that money is where you go after next. Because a lot of guys, it goes the other way. They play their first 7 to 10 years with a decent team. They make a ton of money, and like, hey man, I need to go win a ring. Justin Reed has a chance to have 3 rings before turning 28 years old. At that point, you're like, I've won 3 Super Bowls. I can go make 50 to 80 to 90 million more in my career and set myself up for the rest of my life and look at these 3 rocks on my hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's he's already got the legacy stuff done.
Yeah.
So go get your money. You know what I mean? Like, the Chiefs are never going to pay him because, like you said, they've already been replacing him through the draft, just like they've been replacing Tyrann Mathieu and everybody else.
The trend is already there.
Yeah.
They're just going to continue to do that.
So I want to get your thoughts on Nick Bolton, man, because I know that is the one. Again, and I've said this on the show, if they do sign Nick Bolton, I'm going to be totally okay with it. I'm not going to be mad about it at all.
Well, yeah.
I just don't know if he's going to be the guy they're looking at in the price range. You know what I mean? What they're looking
maybe
at.
They can. Maybe Nick Bolton approaches it differently, and he doesn't ask for that. Granted, that'd be really tough to do because linebackers are getting paid right now. But like to your point though about like L'Jarius Sneed, if he had started from day one and been a day one guy, and has been great since day one, like Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith and these guys, like you made that point, they would pay him. Well, Nick Bolton has been that at the linebacker position. He's been pretty much really, really good, if not great, since he's been on the field. And obviously, when he's on the field, he's very impactful and makes plays. But I think there is a counterpoint to that as well. Like you said, like when he is absent, we played really well in his stead. Especially guys like Drew Tranquill coming in, which was a perfect timing move, great fit for this defense. And he got his money. He got extended, right? So he didn't get paid too much. He got paid, a pretty fair deal for both sides.
Yeah.
The Chiefs won that one, if I'm being honest, for the value that I believe that Drew Tranquill brings to this team. But I think I don't know, man. Like for me, it's going to be really hard for me personally to see Nick Bolton walk away or go somewhere else. But I do understand at the end of the day, it is business, and I always tell everybody not to be emotionally attached to these players, because this is a business at the end of the day. But he is one of the favorites for me personally. I think he's just a true playmaker, an old school kind of player. I think the Chiefs tried their best to find a way to keep him here and pay him, but I don't think they're going to pay him top tier money. That's just not, because if it's detrimental to the team and it's detrimental to the steps they want to do elsewhere, linebacker is a replaceable position. Mm-hmm. If I am being 100% honest with myself at the end of the day, as much as I'd like him to be here, but if it came down to Nick Bolton wanting that top tier money, it's probably not going to happen, because if it did come down to Trey Smith and Nick Bolton, and I have changed my tune on this take a little bit, I would probably choose Trey Smith at this point. Last year I was saying I would pick Nick Bolton, but the structure of the O-line and the mystery of the O-line right now matters more to me than what the linebacker situation can look like if Nick Bolton exits.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to keep that continuity alive with the offensive line and establish some structure on the ends, right, on the tackle position. So that's keeping that internal strength of the offensive line matters more to me, and paying Trey Smith matters more to me if it came down to those two, which it very well might come down to those two, because those two guys are probably going to get paid pretty handsomely, depending on who they choose to go with. And I think Trey Smith makes the most sense. But Yeah, man, that's gonna be tough. That's tough. I really hope the Chiefs and Nick Bolton figure out a way to keep him here because the guy, like I said, Mizzou guy, had the heart of Spags from the jump. It was one of those guys he's loved since he's been here. He's implemented his strengths and he's done nothing but showcase those strengths from the jump in this system. So love that guy. He makes big plays and big moments. Knows how to be in the right place at the right time in big games. So yeah, I if they can figure out a way to do it and pay him and Trey Smith and keep those guys here and extend other guys and keep this thing alive, I'm all for it, man. But yeah, Nick Bolton has a special place in my heart, man.
Well, let me. I'm trying.
It doesn't seem likely, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like they're going to pay him.
I'm trying to make it as fair as possible to everybody. But here's the thing: if you look at the 8 names I put, how many of them are defensive players?
Yeah.
1 or 2.
2, yeah.
And only one of them could even cost.
Amenahue is kind of a wild card, though.
I agree.
If they choose to go another direction, that could open up some more money to throw and maybe kick the can, extend, give him like Nick Bolton maybe like a 4-year deal, and kind of extend the money down the road.
The thing about it though is that I think as crazy as this sounds, I think it's harder to replace a Amenahue than Nick Bolton, based upon what you already have in Drew Tranquil. And the linebacker position as opposed to edge rush.
And we need more edge rush.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if FAU has a big season, then you have the incentive to say, hey, Charles, take this low deal or you can walk.
Yeah.
Because FAU has emerged and George Karlaftis is going to be in line for a contract. Then you have that conversation with Amenahue. But if I'm looking at positional value and the fact that both Nick Bolton and Amenahue are in their mid-20s,
or if Leo Chenal establishes more of an edge presence too, because later in the year last year, they kind of started using him on the edge, and he was looking pretty damn good. His speed for his size is crazy, but yeah, if he establishes himself as maybe a guy that can use in the edge too, that could be damning to Amenahue as well. But I don't think so. Amenahue is so damn athletic and long and tall and aggressive.
Yeah,
we saw in that Cincy game last year how incredible he just took over that game.
Right.
So I would say he is more valuable. Having dominant edges is more valuable than a really, really good linebacker in the middle.
And if you look at it, my list is intentional. I didn't develop it with this in mind, but if you look at it, you can tell that my mindset very much aligns with like a Brett Veach because of the fact, if you look at Brett Veach's draft history, he's drafted 28 defensive players to 19 offensive players. So he clearly, and before this last draft, it was substantially more in the defensive way. It was like, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 24 defensive players to 13 offensive players, I want to say. Yeah, so it was substantial. Like the numbers have grown substantial for the. So the way I look at it is, you draft defense and pay offense.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason why is because who your number one player is, who's your highest paid player? It's Patrick Mahomes. Okay, give him the veterans, give him the guys, pay the money to help him out. And on the defensive side, go and draft your ass off and have Steve Spagnuolo develop those guys and turn them into what they are. And it's worked.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like, the majority, they've yet to ever pay a big cornerback. They've yet to pay a substantial amount to any linebacker.
Yeah, I don't pay cornerbacks. I mean,
yeah.
And I might eat my words when it comes to time to pay McDuffie because that's my dude. But
we've had that conversation.
Yeah.
About, do they pay Trent McDuffie?
God damn it. I don't want to talk about that.
You get 5 years out of Trent McDuffie, and then you can franchise tag him.
That's true.
So you can have him until he's 27, 28 years old and never have to pay him big money. So why would you? Like, that's the conversation I constantly have with people. I know it's a shitty deal because you want these guys to be here forever, but like you just said, you have to get used to the fact that a lot of these guys won't be around. They have their moment, they have their time, and you always go back and think, man, remember when he was a part of the team that was cool? Yeah. The 2-3 years he was here? They all play their part when they play it. But outside of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones, there are no other staple players. Guys will come and go. That's why I'm not loyal to Nick Bolton, even though I love the guy. I believe the Chiefs can keep winning Super Bowls if they lose Nick Bolton. I believe if they lose Charles Amenahue, if they lose L'Jarius Sneed, if they lose Trent McDuffie, they still can win Super Bowls. If they lose Chris Jones, that's a legit question. They lose Travis Kelce, that's a legit question. And we obviously know about Patrick Mahomes. That's the point, though, man, is you only have so many staple guys that will be around for a decade. That doesn't happen all the time. Like, you have your Emmitt Smiths, Troy Aikmans, and Michael Irvins. You don't name a bunch of other guys on that team that were staple guys. I mean, obviously their offensive line was insane, but that was for a short period of time. If you look at all the dynasties throughout time, it was Tom Brady, but Gronk was only a part of, 3 of his 7 Super Bowls? Or 4 of them, I think, because with the Buccaneers one. He won 3 other Super Bowls before Gronk ever was drafted.
Yeah, and when my thing with Nick Bolton isn't just about like, oh man, if we lose Nick Bolton, this defense is going to struggle, or our chances of winning another championship is doomed. It's nothing like that for me. It's more of like I love this guy. Like I kind of put myself like, because I've seen him. He's been a part of this ride the whole time. For the most part, and that's a guy I want to like have my arm around and just continue to enjoy this ride together with. And he's been a guy that's been a massive contributor to this. And it just sucks to see. It would suck to see a guy like that, not be a part of it moving forward.
Yeah.
But like you said, man, it is a business, and at the end of the day, how shook were we when Tyreek Hill was gone? We've won 2 Super Bowls since then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like things felt very dark in that moment. We were very upset initially.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes is so good. You can lose an elite receiver talent and go win a Super Bowl that very season, and it's just and then another one the next one. So now we're working on a third, and winning helps you forget a lot of those kind of things.
Right.
And having a great quarterback like will do that.
100% agree with that. That's exactly. It changes the culture, changes how you approach every single contract on your team from here on out. Julia did ask that question, and we're gonna transition here in just a second. But before we get to it, I want to ironically answer a question.
Yep.
Julie Goulet asked the question, Veach has a history of not paying corners. Could McDuffie be the first? Yes, I will say, if there's one corner that's going to get paid in the Brett Veach era, it will be Trent McDuffie.
But it hinges upon his growth, too. Now that he's, Shamari Connor could definitely become even a better player than L'Jarius Sneed was and be that great, Robin Batman situation that he had last season. But if that doesn't transpire and we really need to lean on McDuffie more and he kind of falters with that more added responsibility,
right?
I'll have questions then.
Now,
you know what I mean? So that could change some things. This season is a big one for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if he gets another All-Pro, then you're like, okay, right. Then you have to start thinking about even that extension because then you want to make sure you're paying him what he's worth. But
then we're talking like a Jalen Ramsey situation.
Yeah, you don't want to have bad blood either. You don't want to have Trent McDuffie coming into year 4, year 5 wanting an extension and you're not giving it to him and then he holds out in training camp.
Right.
Or, you don't want that stuff either. So I'm not saying that he'll play on the franchise tag or he'll play all 5 seasons without asking for an extension. More than likely that'll happen. But that's when those tough conversations have to be had. Trevor, do you? Give in and say, well, Trent McDuffie's a 2-time All-Pro. He's helped us win X amount of Super Bowls, and he's been a really good player, and he's a playmaker. Biggest thing, that's the biggest thing. Right. Is that dude, forces fumbles and all kinds of stuff.
The ability to cover the slot is ridiculous.
Yeah, he checks a lot of boxes, but then again, it's like, but the Veach has to ask himself, does this go against my plan? Does this go against the way I've been building this team now for 6 years?
And the timing of who needs it. But I think the timing is good for McDuffie, though. Because the time of him, when he does need to get paid, even after that franchise tag possibly, there's not going to be really anybody else unless, I think at that time, it's kind of perfect. No one else that got signed around that same time is really going to demand big money. He's going to be the only guy at that time. I think that's going to – it's hard to have that kind of foresight to really see that. But I think at that time, year 5, year 6 – paying him would make sense.
Well, and when we talked about it, though, George Karlaftis will be up for a contract. They're both the same draft class.
Sure.
So I would rather pay George. I think he's not...
Depending on their performances.
You may not say that George is the better player. You can make the...
It's a more important position.
Much more important position.
Yeah, and George has been great.
And he's played more games.
Yeah.
Let's be real. George has been healthier.
George is one of those guys that's going to play for for a long time.
I think he's going to have a 12, 13-year career, and I think he's like the next Ryan Kerrigan. I think he's going to have 95 sacks in his career.
He's very consistent.
He's a very good player.
Endless motor.
Yeah, I don't think that Karlaftis is ever going to be a tier 1 edge rusher.
No,
but I do believe he's going to be that guy that gets you 9 to 12, like Tamba Hali. He's going to be a 9 to 12 sacks a year.
That's his peak.
Man.
Peak would be like a Tamba.
He might have like that 1 year, like when he's like 27 years old and he has like a 16 sack season. That might happen.
Yeah, and he could do it. The season needs to get paid the next year.
That
came out of him and McDuffie, and he has a year like that. That would be see ya, McDuffie. Unfortunately,
yes. I view Karlaftis as a long-term Chief.
I do too.
I think the Chiefs are going to pay him money because, like I said, edge rush, and by the time he's eligible for a contract, Chris Jones will be a little bit older. I think he'll be 32 years old. Yeah. They're going to have to start fixating on, okay, who do we start building our front 7 around? George could be that guy. Or George will just be one of the guys that you pay money to.
Canole, his progression could become one of those guys too. Who knows? John Harrison does have a comment here I wanted to read. Based on the 2025 cap estimate right now of $273 million, New England will have $102 million in space. Arizona 98, Pittsburgh 89, Washington 87. I could easily see Bolton or Reed signing with one of those teams to help their defense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could definitely see Nick Bolton in like a Washington jersey.
That's what I'm saying. There's going to be some teams out there that are going to look, we want dynasty players to come in here and fix our culture. Like, why do you think Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark were such big characters for this team in 2019? Those guys carried something to
change the culture.
Yeah, they carried something into this franchise that wasn't here.
Guys, yeah.
So you bring a Nick Bolton into an unestablished franchise right now and say, hey, look, I'm a 3-time Super Bowl champion. I'm 25 years old. Follow my lead. Yeah. Like, I'm Justin Reed. I'm 28 years old. I'm a 3-time champion. Follow my lead. Like, those are the guys you want on the defensive side of things. Because, again, a lot of teams are trying to replicate what the Chiefs are doing. Yeah. And they look at the Chiefs' defense and are saying, a lot of young guys around Chris Jones. A lot of rookie deals around Chris Jones.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of guys that aren't even had the resume, nearly the resume of these guys, and then don't even champs get overpaid for, teams reaching for. So, I mean, yeah. When the time comes, man, these teams are probably going to reach and overpay for, not even overpay. I'm not going to say that's disrespectful to them because they deserve every penny they get, but yeah, if these guys become 3-time champs, man. Like,
and there was no cap space. Yeah. I'm like, Chiefs, pay these guys whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Because you want these guys around,
MLB,
but
bro.
Yeah, it's just not the reality of the situation. And the Chiefs I think the Chiefs are going to start spending more money on wide receiver. I know everybody says, well, the Chiefs haven't spent big money on wide receiver. Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
Trust me when I say, guys, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to want his CeeDee Lamb. He's going to want a Tyreek Hill again.
Devontae Adams.
Look, they've had a lot of success without Tyreek Hill. Yeah. But trust me when I say Patrick Mahomes wants to have that wide receiver one again. It makes his job so much easier. And as Travis Kelce ages, you're going to want to have that guy, Justin Watson. You're going to want to have one of those guys, man, that can really break out. You don't think for a second he don't watch on Sundays when he's not playing or Monday nights when he's not playing. He's watching Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase. Thinking, man, that'd be kind of nice.
How you feel about that clip from our guys, Starcade, over there, when Noah and Clint were asking Adam Thielen about, and Adam Thielen was saying he wanted to come to KC. I know you didn't really want him, but I wanted him.
Look, I like Adam Thielen's had a good career.
He's a baller.
And just to put it out here, I said from the beginning that he's not worth the money he was given. Sure. Now, with Carolina, the Panthers, they just forced him the ball. He got like 12 catches a game.
He's a good receiver,
He put up numbers, but what did it really do? It resulted in nothing. They were the worst team in football, and they're paying him all this money for what? What did it accomplish? So the Chiefs are never going to pay him that money. So to me, it was a non-starter. I know he wanted to play for the Chiefs, but the Chiefs clearly didn't want him because they didn't put out a contract offer that was even close to what the Panthers had. So they knew that he's an aging veteran receiver that was just going to play for a bad team. So that's where we're at right now, guys, on these things. Feel free to add to it if you guys want to. These are conversations we're going to continue to have because, as I said, I was looking way ahead. This is for 2025 free agents, but I think it's a conversation to be had because I think at least a couple of these guys could get extended before even training camp starts or during training camp. I think that you see that every year where guys get extensions during training camp. I think if I was to take a vote right now, I think that Creed Humphrey's going to get his extension. I think Trey Smith's going to get an extension. If Nick Bolton gets his, I'm not going to be mad. I think it goes a little bit against what Brett Veach has been doing with how he builds his rosters, and that's how I felt about L'Jarius Sneed when everybody thought, "Oh, L'Jarius Sneed's getting paid." I never thought so.
Yeah, I mean,
and the Chiefs never really made it seem so, and I haven't really heard a lot about them trying to pay Nick Bolton.
Same with Tyrann.
Yeah, you know the way Brett Veach talks about guys he's trying to pay. Yeah. And the way things go about things. I maybe I'll be shocked and I'll be wrong, but I think right now Brett Veach is looking at how do I solidify this offensive line and continue to give Patrick Mahomes the protection he needs, and how do I continue to build this offense into the juggernaut it needs to be, and go and draft studs at defense and continue to replace aging players on the defensive side of things so they don't have to pay both offense and defense to get themselves hamstrung on the cap space side of things. It's time for speaking, Trevor. Where are we at on things, man? What are the questions they got for us?
So we got Noah John Marshall here. Isn't the worry about running back depth chart on an overreaction? KC has 3 or 4 undrafted free agents, first-year guys, Prince, Ingram, Bailey, who can be 3-down running backs, plus Clyde and Zamet. It compares fine with depth across the NFL.
I love you to death, man. I appreciate you being on the show, but I vehemently disagree with you.
There's a lot of unproven guys there.
First of all, I don't think the Chiefs have a single 3-down back on this team, and maybe outside of Isaiah Pacheco, but he's the guy that you're wanting to rest more than anything.
Yeah. Generic Prince, I mean...
The reason why Clyde's still on this team is because he's a guy that knows the offense, and he was dirt cheap. Let's be real. And I'm a Clyde guy. But we all know what Clyde is at this point. I think he's a running back 3. Deneric Prince, we have no idea what he is. We have zero idea what Deneric Prince is as a pro running back.
We
have
more idea what he is than Ingram and Bailey too.
So what this really is this is a running back. And look, we've talked about it, and we're going to continue to talk about it. LRZ is a project at best right now. Maybe he becomes something, but guys, I'm telling you right now, the realistic expectations for LRZ as an NFL player is special teams. I'm trying to get you guys. Yes, I'm trying to get you guys to understand the realities of this situation. He is a guy that is transitioning sports, and we're not talking about him playing Pop Warner. He's going up against the greatest football players in the world on the best team in the world. You can't expect this dude to come in here and become a running back. You can't expect this dude to come in here and start running routes. That is not the reality of the situation. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is hyping him up, saying, "Oh yeah, he catches the ball well, and he runs good and everything." That's to his own standard. If you put him next to Hollywood Brown, if you put him next to Isaiah Pacheco, it's not even comparable. So we have to look at him as a guy that I think will be doing kickoffs for this team, and a guy that will be making some good tackles. And those are valuable things to do on this team because he'll keep Harrison Butker away from injury, and he'll make some good situational plays on special teams. Special teams is very important, guys. So let's not downplay it. I think
Lance hates LRZ, guys.
I just think we need to be realistic, just like we need to be realistic about this running back room. This running back room is very thin. Outside of Isaiah Pacheco, the Chiefs have next to nothing in this room.
I'm a little worried about Isaiah Lee going in to see if I'm being honest.
That's what I'm saying, man.
He's dropped some weight. I don't know, man.
There's some things to be worried about when it comes to the running back room for sure, guys. I don't want to downplay it.
Go get playoff Lenny, bro. Go get Leonard Fournette. I want a banger, an old school, banger kind of running back. We don't have enough of those guys. We don't have any of those guys right now, if I'm being honest. But I just want to shout out our guy Lonnie Pyramid hopping in here. Yo, guys, I hope all is well. As always, #spoken, #kingdom. Let's go, man. What's
yes,
up,
sir.
Man?
Glad you're in, Lonnie.
Appreciate the love, man. Next question is from Carlos Fierro. Who is our starting corner opposite Trent? Chamari Connor for me, man.
Well, you guys know I'm a big Chamari guy. I think Chamari's gonna be a guy that kind of plays all over the place, though. I don't think he's gonna be set at corner. I think he's gonna play a lot of safety as well. I think right now, if I was to make my bet, it's going to be either between Jalen Watson or Joshua Williams. I think Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson are the two most experienced corners on this team. They may not be the best, but these are two guys that have proven themselves worthy in big moments and big times in the postseason. And these are big years for those guys because from what I know, Joshua Williams is up for a contract. Same with Jalen Watson. Jalen Watson, I think, is 27 years old. So this will be an opportunity for both those guys to prove their worth to the rest of the league because we know they're not getting paid here in Kansas City. I think that those are one of those. I think one of those or both of those guys will be the dudes that line up opposite of Trent McDuffie. But Trent McDuffie also plays a lot of corners as slot corner. Yeah. So you'll probably see a lot of Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson.
That could change.
A mixture of those guys with Trent McDuffie at slot. The reason why he plays a lot of slot, though, is because Trent's an undersized corner. He's, 5'9"? So I think Trent's going to – and you got to remember, guys, there's a lot of guys in this team that are very versatile. A lot of Najee Johnson, Nick Jones. There's some dudes on this team that, like I said, Chamari Connor, obviously the guy I'm looking forward to the most. Versatile guys that can play dime, safety. They can play corner. There's going to be guys on this team that will be playing all over the place. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think if we're starting week one right now, I think Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson get the outside, and then you have Trent McDuffie playing that slot corner position and do what he does best, which is wreck and shop.
Next one from our guy, Rhino. Who is the next big-time free agent the Chiefs sign in the next year or two, and what position do you think it will be?
I mean, it's hard to say. Great question. Yes, obviously. I do think it would probably be a wide receiver, though. I do think that you've seen Brett Veach make it very obvious that he's been in play for some big – he's been trying to swing heavy at wide receiver. We heard that he was trying to make a trade for DK Metcalf. He signed Hollywood Brown. Like, we know that he's been in the mix for some wide receivers throughout the last couple of years.
Could be Hollywood Brown.
If
he falls out this year, we could sign him to a
He'll be 28.
Sure.
So maybe it'll be Hollywood Brown. But I do think right now, as it stands, it's probably going to be wide receiver because there's just so many big names over the next couple of years that will be free agents. That the thing about it is, I think it just really comes down to what the Chiefs are willing to spend. If they want to go and get, a CD Lamb type of guy, they're going to have to spend $30+ million a year. And we know that's not what they wanted 3 years ago with Tyreek Hill, but maybe things change after 4 years of not having Tyreek Hill. Not that it hasn't been successful, because God knows it has been, but maybe they'll look at it differently at that time when Patrick Mahomes is a little bit older and you want to have some more sure things around him.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to say wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all want it to be a wide receiver. That or edge rusher. I'm always wanting to, if a free agent edge rusher comes available, I'm always looking. That's always the first kind of position I'm looking at. I always like defensive linemen to add to this, especially with, Chris Jones, getting into his latter years, in the next year or two. I think looking at paying another good defensive lineman, unless, especially if Charles Omenihu doesn't work out,
right?
Things like that. I think that's where I'm looking more towards, just because. I mean, we could go get. I'm thinking as far as like he says, next big time free agent sign. I don't know if the Chiefs are ever going to sign like a big time free agent wide receiver. You say CeeDee Lamb, but God, that's a dream.
No, I was making an example.
Sure. But I mean, I don't know if the Chiefs are ever going to pay big money like that, because we had arguably the best receiver in football in Tyreek Hill at the time. We let him walk. Granted, things got a little salty there between the two sides. And there were some weird things going on, especially after Devontae got paid, and then Tyreek, got weird and wanted to rip up the contract, and after he already kind of partially agreed to it, that's a different scenario. But I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe they do pay, a top tier receiver. That'd be awesome. But I don't know. I think they are going to continue to try to draft those guys. But I think defensive lineman is always where I'm looking at. So if a defensive lineman comes available, an edge rusher, that's where I would probably look to be the next sign for the Chiefs. Next one from our guy Rhino. Do the Chiefs have the team to go undefeated this year? God damn it.
He
said it.
Look, going 16-0 was always difficult. I mean, only 2 teams ever did it. Going 17-0 is going to be that much more difficult, because also the incentive of not playing your starters when you're already that far along, or the pressure. I'm going to say they have the team to do it. But we all know how this goes. Andy Reid, his teams, they always drop a clunker. There's always some frustrating game they lose
or something.
Yeah, some 7-10 team that they lose to. So I'm going to say it's not going to happen, but they have the team to do it. Yes, I definitely do believe they have the team to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, man. It's very hard for teams to do that. And I think, I mean, obviously when you have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, those kind of guys leading the way, like I said, every team has to play us, man. This schedule is not. No schedule gives me the goosebumps in any way. Every team that has the Chiefs on their schedule should give them the goosebumps. You know what I mean? So we're always going to get every team's best. So it's hard to stay afloat every week when sometimes you have a lull. Because even Travis Kelce's talked about it. They kind of sometimes you catch yourself kind of sleepwalking through the regular season, because what the goal is. When it really turn it on. So sometimes you can catch yourself in a lull. And Chiefs are going to have a bad loss. I mean, that's going to happen. Maybe 2. There's always those games, like Lance said. Like there was always those games. There's always a bad loss. Like the game to the Raiders last year was just an embarrassment. Right. You know what I mean? But sometimes you need those games, unfortunately, to kind of slap yourself in the face and splashing water in your face, like wake the hell up, man. You know what I mean? So, Granted, last year was tough, pretty much all year long. Even the wins were ugly and weren't fun really. Outside of that Bears game, I was the only one that was like really enjoyable. But we just ran it up on them. But I don't think we go undefeated. If I'm being honest, that's not my prediction. But I mean, it's a fun thought for sure. Next one from our guy Rhino. If the Chiefs three-peat, do both Travis Kelce and Chris Jones walk into the sunset into retirement?
I don't believe so. I don't think either one of those guys are looking at this as, let's get one more and then we'll be done. In fact, I mean, you look at the way Chris Jones just signed his long-term deal. I just don't think that you go after a big long-term deal like that, have the offseason you had last offseason and this offseason just to hang it up if you win one more. Yeah. Chris Jones will still be in the prime of his career. I mean, and who's to say what happens? Injuries, things like that can change things. I didn't think Aaron Donald would retire at 31, 32, but Aaron Donald, you could just tell that the hunger and the drive and the zest for football just kind of dried up in him. So maybe that happens, but I don't view Chris Jones and Travis Kelce as those guys. I think they're having way too much fun, and I think they love the fact that they're on a team that's not only winning the way they are, but they're having a good time doing it. I think the Rams, they had some tough times over there. It was a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations, and they weren't living up to it due to injuries, issues, malcontent guys, things like that. Like, I just don't think it's the same thing. So Travis Kelce to me is still a child. He talks about it all the time. He goes, "I'm like a little kid on the football field." For me, I think that they're done when they just decide that they're mentally and emotionally done. I think Chris Jones and Travis Kelce will be done mentally and emotionally before they're physically done. That's the kind of careers I think they have. I think they're going to leave when they know that they can still physically do it, but they're just done mentally and emotionally. And I maybe I'm a weird guy, but I think that when you win and you still have the game in you and you still love the game, that drives you to continue to play. I think there's a better chance that they lose in the AFC Championship in 3 years from now, and that's when you see Chris Jones or Travis Kelce leave. Then when they just won the Super Bowl. I think they're the type of guys that want to continue to come back because they still believe they can do it again.
Agreed. We got a comment from Chiefs Kelsey. A 4-peat would be better than a 3-peat. Correct. Just want to throw that out there. Julia Gulia. The next question was from Julia Gulia. Why do you think we struggled so much in the red zone, and do you think Veach has addressed it?
Well,
not only Veach, but I'm sure.
I think it's more of a coaching thing, to be honest with you. And the biggest reason why, the biggest reason why is the Chiefs didn't have anybody that could fucking get open.
Yeah.
And Patrick clearly had trust issues. You saw that on the field all year long, not just in the red zone, but all over the field, because he would hit guys that would actually finally get open, and they oh shit, where'd my pen go, guys? Oh, shit, down there.
Lance is
doing
his best Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it went. So I think that's what the simple fix of it all is. And also, Andy likes to get cute. Drives me nuts. Andy loves to get cute in the red zone, and I think he likes to flex on a little bit, show off in prime time, because Andy, everybody loves to think he's that old Garsh guy. Andy likes to flex it every once in a while, and so I think there's a mixture of that, the cuteness, and the lack of guys that can go out there and execute it.
Yeah, agreed. James T. Kirk, Dalvin Cook or playoff Lenny? I think me and you are split here. I think you'd rather have Dalvin Cook.
I'd rather have Dalvin Cook because he's the younger player, and I think he's the more versatile guy as a dual threat. Lenny is the more proven commodity as far as playoff success, but I think that was 3 or 4 years ago last time he had any real playoff success.
Sure.
And I just think that Dalvin Cook is a guy that I think would be more hungry because he's never won anything in his career, and I think he fits the offense better.
He's hurt a lot.
He is hurt a lot, but I mean, so is Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? That's the thing.
Leonard Fournette isn't hurt a lot, and Leonard Fournette has a skill set that I think this team is missing, which is a true banger.
Yeah, but he's also 30.
I get it, man, but I mean, you have him on the second and short, third and short. We need a guy to get across that line.
But we just got to talk about this. Andy doesn't do those
things. Bring in LeGarrette Blount. Let's go.
Jesus.
Give me that third down guy to give me that third and short.
Knock out guys after the handshake after the games and shit.
We're missing some of that. We need some of that, man.
Nasty.
But it's playoff Lenny for me, but I wouldn't be mad if we brought in Dalvin Cook. We need to bring in another savvy running back veteran. I do agree, though. That is a conversation needs to be had. Next one and final question here. From our guy, James T. Kirk. My final question, man, Bronny looks terrible in summer league play. Let's be real. The kid should have stayed in college, right?
No.
Bro, your bias is showing again, man.
No. Look, guys.
We're talking summer league performances here. No one ever really cares about it until it's Bronny, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
When did anybody ever bring up any performances from people's summer league stuff until it's Bronny? And if we're being honest, Bronny's defense has been great. I mean, yeah, his scoring's been low and his shooting has been bad, but
hey, James,
it's summer league, dude.
Did you pay attention to Nikola Jokic rookie year when he was the 55th overall pick as well?
It's just the hype that's behind Bronny, bro.
When he got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Like, what are we doing, man? Like we see guys have slow starts to their careers all the time. And like Trevor just said, the only reason we're even talking about this right now is because he's LeBron James' son.
And is the narrative that Bronny's going to come in and take over the league?
Yeah.
No one's really saying any of that. I mean, I get that he's LeBron James' son, but no one's like, oh, this is the next guy, this is the phenom. No, he was drafted to the Lakers. I get it, massive franchise and big stage, big shoes to fill, but let the kid kind of become his own, man. He doesn't play much like his dad, so we're not expecting him to be his dad. He's more of a defensive player. He could become a really good 3-and-D guy, but he's got to get his shooting up. But it's summer.
Let's let him play meaningful basketball for a couple of years. And then we'll have the criticisms.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why we don't talk about it a lot, because we don't really know yet. We're letting it all play out in real time. So
yeah,
it's like when, and I hate to make the comparison, but I have to do it just to make the point across. Like when we heard Adam Teicher making all the reports about Patrick Mahomes throwing all those interceptions in camp. It's like, are we really gonna do this? Like, we're really gonna worry about his interceptions at camp? Okay.
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna do. And then we hear Derek Johnson talk about how he saw this guy making throws that he's never seen in his life. So
agreed.
Yeah, there's that.
G-Pick, what up, gents? Sorry I'm late. Unacceptable, man. Unacceptable.
You're grounded, G-Pick.
Yep, you should have been in the front of the line. Nah, what's up, bro? Appreciate you hopping in here. Michael Maldonado, reaction to the John Cena retirement.
Yeah, I saw this coming. We know that John's been slowly transitioning out of WWE for quite a while, And after the whole him and The Rock thing with WrestleMania, which was just fantastic, you just kind of knew that the writing was on the wall. Also, the bald spot in the back of his head kind of tells you he's done. I mean, John's one of the greatest to ever do it. Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah.
44 years old now.
I mean, he's already got a massive.
He's making tons of movies
he's
now.
got a massive career in movies.
Yeah,
He's great. He's great in movies.
So congrats to him. Hats off. I wasn't shocked by this at all, and he had his time. I mean, shit, John. Unlike most of these superstar guys, he had a long run.
One of the most iconic wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the biggest following. Honestly,
yes.
It has maybe the biggest following in WWE history.
Yes.
Like, his following is crazy, bro. Yeah.
Like kids, like they really like. Now people call it the PG era, which I agree. Which I didn't watch. I didn't watch the PG
polarizing guys.
But he had a following. He still very much has a following. So. Can't knock him. John Cena is great. I love him as an actor. I think he seems like a great human being.
Loved him in The Bear, by the way, bro.
Oh my God, thank you.
He's haunting. Dude, so good.
It's a haunt.
If y'all haven't watched The Bear, bro, y'all got to get on that show. It's so good.
They have some great cameos, man. And by the way, like Jamie Lee Curtis and Oliver Platt.
Yeah.
Those veteran actors just steal the show. Yeah, John Cena in that like 5-10 minutes he's in there, he goes, "Oh, you want me to get a turkey or duck? You guys want me to get a duck?" Yeah, that was definitely watch The Bear.
So good, man. Terrell Buchanan, should we find a 6'4" possession receiver?
I mean, the Chiefs can find him, but are they going to be good at football? That's the question. That's why I'm always big on getting physical receivers earlier on than other guys. I know Andy Reid has more of a style of getting smaller speedster guys. I like them big, giggity.
Length of the size queen, everybody.
I like them huge. What can I say? No, I like Rashee Rice's body frame is much more my style of receiver than like a Hollywood Brown. Even though Hollywood Brown is having a very successful career.
Yeah.
Our guy Bink was on 610 yesterday. I completely disagreed with him when he was saying that he thinks the Hollywood Brown's the better receiver even with Rashee healthy. I'm like, I don't see that at all. I think that when you have a guy that's 6'2" and above, 200 plus pounds, you always can get more out of those guys than smaller guys because they can beat all different types of defenses.
And we still haven't seen what Rashee can really be.
Yeah.
I mean, he came on as of late as a guy after the catch kind of guy.
Right.
Who knows once he gets his route tree down and his chemistry with Pat, bro, he could be coming.
So no, I don't want to dismiss the question, but it's hard to find guys that are 6'4" period that aren't tight ends.
Yeah, Justin Ross is that hopeful.
Yeah, but most times receivers are not 6'4" and above. Most receivers are 5'8" to 6'1", 6'2". Those are usually like the range of a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Tight ends are usually 6'3" and above. So you have your rare guys and things like that, and when you do, you hold on to them with dear life. But I would love for the Chiefs to have a guy that size that can play wide receiver because, like I said, it adds just a whole other dimension to the game. Rashee's probably the closest thing they'll have probably for the next couple of years, and I hope he transitions into a great receiver because, like I said,
love the kid.
Big guys like him, I'm telling you, they can really make a difference in an offense.
Especially when you grab after the catch like he is, man.
Yeah,
I mean, he led the league last year, so only up from there. That is it for all the questions, man.
Great questions, guys. Awesome time. We appreciate speaking every single week. We tell you it's the top, tell you at the bottom of every single show. This is why we have this segment for us to interact with you guys exclusively back and forth live on the show.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys can comment on this video as much as you want throughout the week when we're not live, but we'd love to have that experience with you guys, in the moment, in the time that we're doing the show. And get on YouTube, guys. If you've not already done it, we'd really greatly appreciate it, honestly. If you went to youtube.com, went to the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, became one of our subs on there, guys, so we can really start to monetize this thing. Hit like, hit share, all the algorithm stuff that definitely helps us get our name out there. But also, like I said, get in the chat. Let us know what you guys are talking about, what you guys are wanting to talk about. We will take the time to respond to what you guys have to say as much as we humanly possibly can. So thanks again for that. Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
All right, so outside of the complimentary L that we, obviously with Jerry Rice, just from the top of the show, was L-worthy content, so I appreciate him for that. That's an all-timer there.
Yeah.
Appreciate the content, sir. Shadir Sanders has been, I don't know if you guys saw, we're weeks away from college football kicking off, and, as polarizing as it gets, the Sanders family, love them. I personally love them. I love what they've done, with college football. A lot of people don't like it. I actually love it. And I think, I love everything about Coach Prime. I think the good and the bad, I take it all in. I think he has a great voice and is a great polarizing figure for the sport, especially with the new wave of the portal and all these things that have changed in college and the money that's involved now. These kids are finally getting their due, which is fair, and I love all the movement there. But I'm just going to read this article here real quick from there was 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂 Sanders obviously was getting interviewed by the media. 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙂 Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes were the talk of the college football world last season. When they got out to a 3-0 start in Deion Sanders' first year as a head coach, they went on to lose 7 of their last 8 games to finish 4-8 and well out of bowl contention. 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙂 Sanders will be back under center for Colorado this season in what could be a final year before making the jump to the NFL. The QB and his teammates attended the Big 12 Media Day Wednesday in Las Vegas, and he had lots of people talking on social media about his claim that Colorado is every team's Super Bowl. I'm just going to go ahead and play this clip for you guys real quick.
Sort of flow over to you as his son and being in the spotlight as you just answered that. It's a different level in how you feel you have to perform. Do you have an obligation to perform at a different level?
They've been there since day one. I remember first media day when I was in HBCU, I said, well, we won't lose the game. I'm undefeated in the SWAC, so I already know what the expectation comes with. I know we're everybody's Super Bowl, so I'm really just, I always stay level-headed, stay grounded, because I would never want to be that guy, look back, and not being able to take advantage of the moment that we have right now.
Okay, that moment was last season when you made that claim, right? And you guys won 4 games. Listen, I'm all for. I love the swaggy guys. I love the guys that can talk it and back it up. That's my favorite thing about sports. That's one of my favorite things about, being the elite of something. And you can talk it and back it up. You can you say those things. You could take that bulletin board material, however your approach is. If you want to be the humble, quiet guy and just go out there and just do your business and let your walk be the talk. Yeah. I love that too. But I love also guys that can talk it. That's why I love MMA and the UFC, guys that talk that shit and back it up, like Prime McGregor and John Jones, guys like that. They're just unstoppable in certain moments, and I love that. That is not what this is for 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙂 Sanders, if I'm being honest. I love the kid, and I think he's extremely talented. And I think he has the promise to be a good NFL quarterback, possibly, especially when what this season holds for him if he really balls out this year and takes that next step. And I love his dad dearly, but this is a foot in the mouth situation here, if I'm being honest.
Right.
How in the hell can you claim to be everyone's Super Bowl when you can't even make a bowl? You know what I mean? Like that's a hell of a claim for a team that won 4 games last year. Hot start, 3-0. That was awesome. I was really rooting for him to really take the league by storm, and really we're hoping for that success, and that could happen this year. But that's just a silly statement from a guy that really hasn't won anything yet. And you guys aren't even in a bowl game, weren't even in a bowl game, haven't won anything yet, and you want to claim that you're everybody's Super Bowl. That just doesn't add up. That math is not mathing for me, bro. So for that, 𝚂𝙸𝙸𝙂 Sanders, do me a solid favor and
hold that L. The one thing I cannot stand in life more than anything is ignorance. Willing ignorance. When people choose not to be informed on something, when they know that access to information is right on their fingertips or right in front of their face. I feel bad because I have to give this L to somebody that I respect a lot and who's been very successful in their sport and their profession, but they're choosing to be ignorant and to basically just try to control a narrative or create a narrative to get people to decide with them on this very topic. We saw at the ESPYs this week, Dawn Staley, the coach of the I'm blanking on the team. They just won the national championship. She's a multi-time champion, maybe the best coach in all of women's sports. Unbelievable. She's created a dynasty where she's at, and I love and acknowledge and accept everything she's done to what she's doing at that school, and I think it's going to continue. And I'm so happy for her and her success. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
But of course, the conversation had to go to pay disparity. And look, man.
Gamecocks, by the way.
Thank you so much. I want to see women. I want to see Caitlin Clark. I want to see Angel Reese. I want to see Dawn Staley. I want to see all of them making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. I want to see them making LeBron James money.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is a lot of you don't. You know why I know that? because people don't watch. And that's the conversation that we need to be having here. And instead, Don Staley and other women and other people in these realms are still bitching about the wrong things to the wrong people. I mean, take this for what you want, but there's a comedian by the name of Bill Burr that had a special a few years ago, and he literally broke this down about how the NBA literally subsidizes the WNBA because the WNBA cannot make a profit. It does not make a profit. Yeah. It probably won't make a profit this year, even with the whole Caitlin Clark fiasco. Yeah. Because not enough people buy their products, watch their games, watch their product, invest in their product. It isn't happening yet. Maybe one day it will. I hope it does.
Caitlin Clark's making more on a shoe deal and her other ad deals than she's making on her contract.
The big three was going to offer like $13 million a year. The big three.
Yeah.
So, Don, like I hate to give you this today because I'm so happy for your achievements. You won an ESPY, but it's like you're being willingly ignorant because the conversation is so dishonest. It is not about, there is not a pay disparity. You're getting paid and women are getting paid according to what the leagues can offer you.
Supply and demand.
It's supply and demand. There's a reason why the men are making all that money is because people are watching men's sports and investing in men's sports. It's that simple. It's not, there's no sexism going on. The numbers are what the numbers are. So please, for the love of God, do some research, understand the situation, and challenge people, challenge women to start watching your sports and support your own. That's how it starts. Yeah. It isn't the men's fault. It isn't anybody else's fault. There's got to be a legitimate group of people that start to grow this sport, or it's going to stay exactly where it is or get worse again. Either way, it's not the people that you think it is their fault. It's the fault of those that you need to grow your sport. More women need to start supporting more women's sports. That's where it starts. Because there are more women on this planet than there are men. So there is no excuse.
And they are the biggest consumer
of everything.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? And women are more inclusive. There's more inclusivity in sports than ever before. You're seeing more women on sports as anchors. You're seeing more commentators as women. You're seeing more coaches as women. So there's no excuse.
Opportunity is there.
Opportunity is there. So knock the damn door down. I want to see it. I'm rooting for it. So for that, Don Staley, unfortunately, I have to give you one. Do me a favor and hold this L. Appreciate it.
Yeah. No, it's the wrong argument. It's the wrong. They're barking at the wrong.
And I hate that I have to even say it, but it's like it's an intellectually dishonest conversation. Yeah. You're blaming the wrong people.
It's creating victims in a victimless crime
without any truth backing that up. There's no merit behind what she said. Yeah. But there's merit to what we've been saying all day because that's all we do is we speak the truth.
Because we are the shit.
We are the truth seekers here, the truthful Twidwells, as we like to call us at Starcage Media.
Starcage, baby.
It's been a fun show. Appreciate you guys, man. It's been a great show. Like I said, it went about the same amount of time it always does, but just around 2 hours. I like to give you guys the content that we have every single week. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hit us up on YouTube, guys. Like I said, subscribe to the show. Tell your friends about us. We appreciate that when you guys do the same. Appreciate all the support, all the love. Give Starcade Media the love as well, guys. And share the shit out of their videos to tell the truth about what went down with Jerry Rice. And hopefully Jerry will decide to be a human being and apologize to Clint Noah because that's the least that he deserves besides threatening them. He needs to be apologize and be a fucking man about it and decide to, maybe sack up and do the right thing. We'll see if he actually decides to do that or not. But in the meantime, we do appreciate you guys. We appreciate everything you guys do. And we hope that you guys have enjoyed 275 episodes to this point as we continue to grow this thing. So for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Wimler that puts all this together on the back end for the entire Starcade Media family, or as we like to call it, Starcage Media when we like to throw down. I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 275 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we're back here in 1 week's time to talk about whatever the fuck we're going to talk about, we have no idea yet, guys. We have no idea what the sports world will present us. But until that time, until when we know what we're doing, we out of this bitch. See y'all.